107.3 FM, WVIE.
How would you like for this to be you? Well, it could be. If you have the desire to be an independent radio personality, paying yourself, this is your chance. WVIE 107.3 FM and WHPR 88.1 FM are looking for people with outgoing personalities who can attract sponsors. Launch your career on a radio station with the latest technology in broadcasting. WVIE 107.3 and WHPR 88.1. If you're into talk, R&B, oldies, jazz, gospel, or soca, Radio We Can See is where you need to be.
88.1 FM, WHPR.
Have your own radio show. Block time is available. Call 313-868-6612. Radio We Can See, broadcasting live in the Virgin Islands and Detroit. Find us on Comcast Channel 90 and worldwide on Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, and all of your favorite platforms.
Hi, this is LaWanda.
This is RJ Watkins.
Coming to you to bring you some information about the #1 detox in the nation, Lemon Burn. Lemon Burn helps to turn the fat into fit. It's for you, a happier, healthier you. Because you know healthy is the new beautiful. An all-natural way to improve your health. It promotes a healthy digestive system, attacks and reduces belly fat, as well as gives you energy. Need to get yours today. Call 313-868-6612.
Don't forget to exercise and eat right.
Not only can you listen, you can watch. 107.3 WVIE, Virgin Islands. Have your own show and be seen and heard in the Virgin Islands, Detroit, and worldwide. RadioWeCanSee.com, a Watkins Broadcasting Company. Block time is available. Call now, 313-868-6612.
This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman. I am here to address all of your complaints and concerns. If you need assistance regarding city services, please contact my office at 313-224-6000. or contact us via email at ombudsman@detroitmi.gov. This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am Thabiti Mpinda.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback,
A positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback.
It's you liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
And we are all the way live right here at WHPR, WHPS. And thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Theo Broughton, co-founder of Hood Research, and you are tuned into Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. And my co-host,
Thabiti, and we welcome you to the program.
and I want to say good morning to so many people. We were at a meeting this evening, and yesterday evening, and Saturday evening, and so many things going on throughout the community. But I want to say good morning to Rosa and to Barbara and Ron and Vera and to Barbara get well soon. And also to Nathan and Katrina and to Megan and, oh goodness, Caitlin, just so many today, to BJ and to Jay way on the east side, and to Les way on the west side, and to Miss Farmer and Lawrence. Oh, goodness. What do you want to say good morning to?
Welcome, everyone. Good morning to Monica Lewis Patrick, Deborah Lloyd, Cheryl D., Brother Fred, Brother Shane, both Sister Jackies, Ruth Ann, and Andrea, one of our faithful viewers. And as I always say, have your family, friends, neighbors, relatives to tune in, and always have pen and paper handy for valuable information you'll want to record.
Absolutely. I want you all to know that sometime is feast, sometime is famine. Today happens to be feast. And we have with us Jermaine and Dickens. And I want to welcome you this morning.
Hey, thank you. Good morning.
You're welcome. Now, would you please tell our viewers, who is Jermaine Dickens?
Well, first of all, I'm a Detroiter, born and raised in the city. Went to school here, left in 1989 to go to college, Jackson State at HBCU, and started my career in journalism. Came back to Michigan in 2001 as communications director for the House Democrats. And I was the youngest person and the first African American ever to be appointed to that position.
Wow.
And I came back to Detroit from Lansing in 2002 to join the city of Detroit, where I became the spokesperson and communications director for Kwame Kilpatrick.
Mm-hmm. You know, you had a strong career. And unfortunately, the State Democratic Party doesn't have the benefit of you being with them. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
They got issues. But,
all politics is local for me, you know, and Detroit is where I like to handle mine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's wonderful, because we need to have positive and strong men in particular here in this community. Our young people don't see enough of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't have enough experience in our schools, and some of us are learning as much as we can about the negatives that are taking place. You know, Benjamin Davis Aerospace being one that was shut down on the city airport, now called the Coleman A. Young International Airport.
Mm-hmm.
And they were relocated to Jefferson to Golightly, yes. And now there's conversation about relocating them again to Southeastern. It's as if there's a plan and a plot not to encourage and not to help our young students, males in particular, to learn skills that they can utilize when they graduate from high school.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Not everybody's going to college.
You're right. And not everybody wants to.
And that's okay.
And not everybody can afford to. Not everybody wants to. So there are other careers that are very lucrative, and they need to learn about
Often
that.
pays more than those who go to
Skilled
college.
trades, for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But today, what are you involved in that we need to know about?
Yeah, so I have accepted an offer to become a senior advisor to the Michael Bloomberg campaign for president here in Michigan, and I've been with the Bloomberg campaign since 2 months ago, maybe a couple of weeks after he jumped in the race, very late. And he jumped in the race because, you know, Michael Bloomberg wants to beat Donald Trump. And, you know, he was concerned that the field that we had would not or maybe not live up to that challenge. So, you know, he put his own name out there to find out if, you know, he can put his track record forward and people will learn more about him and decide if he's the guy that can beat Donald Trump. And we all know that Michael Bloomberg is a billionaire many times over, and he's committed to, even if he's not the nominee, to keep his campaign structure in place to support whoever the nominee is to beat Donald Trump. That's how badly he wants to beat Donald Trump.
That's how badly I want him to beat Donald Trump.
I have to applaud that.
Yeah, well, you know, people say, you know, hey, you're buying an election. Like, he says, well, I'm spending my own money to beat Donald Trump. Should I spend more or spend less?
No, see, that doesn't make any sense at all. You know why? Because year after year after year after year, decade after decade, we keep hearing that money is what do they call it? The mother's milk of politics.
That's right.
Isn't that how that statement
That's
goes?
exactly right.
Money is the mother's milk of politics. So why would you turn around and say, oh, he's spending his own money? Well, he didn't ask you for a dime. What are you complaining about?
That's exactly right. Every cycle, like you said, the candidate that raises the most money appears to be the candidate that's the front runner, or the candidate with the most power, political might. So each cycle, everybody has a mad dash to raise more money than the last person. Right. Are those people buying an election?
There you go.
So you want to be that person until somebody comes in that you just can't outrage.
Has more
and now there's a problem.
Yeah,
It's interesting because they call it a war chest. So and it is a battle.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now, share with us the issues that he's concerned about and the platform that he's putting forth.
Yeah, so Michael Bloomberg has a long history of being the mayor of America's largest city, and it's the most diverse city, and a lot of people get caught up on the stop and frisk piece, and then they don't know much more about Michael Bloomberg outside of that, and I get that. But when I take a look at a candidate, obviously it's a whole record that I like to see, not a piece of it, because Magic Johnson, when he came into the basketball league, he couldn't shoot a jump shot, but he was still Magic Johnson, and he's still one of the greatest of all time. I like to look at the whole record, and when I took a look at what Michael Bloomberg done in New York City, he was able to decrease homelessness by 50%. He increased incarceration by 40%.
Wait.
Decreased.
Let's start all over again.
Incarceration went down
by
40%.
Okay.
Under Michael Bloomberg, as well as recidivism by 43%.
Now that is excellent point to make. How did he decrease recidivism? For those who don't know what recidivism means, it's a inmate comes out, goes back in, comes out, goes back in. Okay. How did he approach that?
So basically, it was about an expanding economy, having a place for returning citizens to go to be contributing members of society. And at the same time, his platform all works together. At the same time, he increased affordable housing in New York City by 175,000 units. He poured $23 billion into that. And I think probably the most important thing that connects it to that decrease in the recidivism rate is probably, the investment that Michael Bloomberg made into black businesses in New York. He took black businesses in New York from 800 to 3,700. And not only just created them, helped get those created, there was a $35 billion spend amongst black businesses in the city of New York. And we all know black businesses usually hire black people. And we're not as afraid of our returning citizens because they're our families. So we don't have as big of an issue about putting those folks to work. And that is one of the ways that he was able to do that.
Okay, now New York has rent control, right? Was rent control in place when he became mayor, or did he have something to do with establishing rent control in New York?
So I don't know the answer to that question. What I do know is that everybody knows the cost of New York is really, the living in New York is really high.
Yes.
So
anywhere on the ocean.
Exactly. DC the same way. So what he made sure of is that he recognized that as an issue. Again, you talk about a 50% decrease in homelessness, and then you add another 175,000 affordable housing units into the city, putting your money where your mouth is, with $23 billion worth of investment to do that. So I can't speak directly to the rent control, but I can speak more to what he did to combat the issue of affordability.
That's wonderful. That is, and but that question, there's a debate on Wednesday. Is he going to be
Yes,
participating in it?
he's supposed to be on the next debate stage.
Okay, well, let's let him find out about rent control because somebody might bring it up Wednesday. So, BD, you were going to say something?
Well, actually, I'm kind of curious. Now, right now, we see a lot of ads, and, the emphasis always is on, beating Trump. One of the things I don't think has been highlighted, and maybe you can speak to this too, is that there are other campaigns, and I think here in Michigan, I'm not sure if it was Slotkin or someone, but he actually helped to, promote those Democratic candidates. Could you speak on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so Michael Bloomberg has really been engaged, even as a private citizen. In 2018, when he wasn't an elected official anywhere, he invested in Democrats across the country to turn red states blue. Because, back in 2010, there was a sweep out of all Democrats, and then the Republicans were beating Democrats across the country in local state houses and so forth. So, and they remained there. That became like the introduction of the Tea Party. That was a Tea Party suite. Remember those guys?
Yeah, I remember that.
And so in 2018, Michael Bloomberg took it upon himself to really invest in 20 races across the country where we targeted to turn those red states back to blue. And that included 2 in Detroit, and you're right. Slotkin was one of them, and then Haley Stevens was the other. I think significant contributions to both of those candidates, and they both won. They were able to beat Republicans.
Oh, that's good.
Now, you said it was 20 nationwide. So how successful percentage-wise would you say? Maybe 50% at least were able to flip the script?
Well, we saw what happened in the midterm elections in 2018.
Right, we got the House.
Yeah, we took back the House, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nia, do you know if he or his team is focusing in on the Senate races, state?
Yeah.
Because they're in control right now, and God knows we need to be rid of them too. Mitch McConnell in particular, but go ahead.
Yeah, so, when you run for president, your focus have to be you. So we're focused on electing Michael Bloomberg as president right now. Now, I'll tell you what happens, though, in all these 50 states where we have operations, is that when you have those down ticket races, the Senate race, congressional races, things like that, we don't ask a person for a dime. We're not raising any money. So money that's usually going to presidential candidates out of these states can now go to the U.S. senator, that's running. Or it can go to the folks that are down ballot, the Democrats down ballot, and we don't become a burden where they're competing for the dollars that are coming to us in a normal cycle. So that's one of the reasons why, Bloomberg says that, hey, I'm a billionaire. I recognize my bank account. I know what it is.
Right.
What do I look like asking you for $25, you for $100 where, I don't need it and you can probably better spend it elsewhere than with me.
Yeah, $70 billion could do that for you.
Yeah, I think so.
However, the reason I bring up the Senate race is look at what the Senate did when President Barack Obama was in.
Yeah.
They blocked the appointments that he was trying to get passed, successfully, and now we got some strange folks in the judicial department. Oh, we have a caller.
Yes. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
Hi, it's Richard.
Okay, could you speak up just a little bit, Richard? Thank you.
Richard.
Yes, you have a question or statement?
Yeah, I was wondering, was anybody going to just get a response on stop frisk?
Was anybody going to talk about the stop and frisk?
Get his opinion at least. He's giving us the Bloomberg.
What is the opinion?
I want to get some stop frisk and that. See his opinion on that, so he's already sweating on the you brought up.
Okay. I think he wants to know your opinion on the stop and frisk on the Bloomberg.
Yeah, so obviously, it's a conversation that we have quite a bit when it comes to Michael Bloomberg and his time, in New York. And I think that many people don't recognize that, stop and frisk existed in New York 20 years prior to Michael Bloomberg getting there, into the mayor's office there. However, he did amplify it, and he amplified it because there was a stark increase in homicides amongst black and brown people in the city of New York, 650 homicides a year. So, you know, obviously what happened, like when stress was introduced here, it was African Americans, black and brown people saying, hey, you got to do something about these guys taking over our neighborhood. What are you going to do? Demanding that of the police chief and the mayor. So stop and frisk was amplified, and in the process you had a bunch of cops that are on the ground, and you know how that story goes, you know, really took that to a whole nother level. But Michael Bloomberg has apologized for the unintended consequence of it. However, they were able to decrease homicides by 50% in the city of New York, and us amongst black and brown people. You know, we talk about, you know, homicides as though they're really not lives that we're talking about. These are lives that we're talking about, black and brown lives. I mean, I remember, you know, when Black Lives Matter, well, they mattered to him. Because, you know, people try to call it a racist thing. But a racist, if black and brown people are killing themselves, they don't send the police in there to stop it. You know? I'm just saying. So, again, he's apologized for unintended consequence. And that's why, again, you know, I tell folks to look at the complete record of Michael Bloomberg, you know, and judge them based on that.
You know, and I guess I would interject too. Number one, all candidates seem to have some baggage, and Joe Biden's gaffes are going to come up over and over again, along with his touchy-feely thing, especially whoever is going to be the one who actually competes against Donald Trump when all the, you know, the dust clears and everything. And we know not Biden, but Sanders also had some issues back in the day. So, you know, I guess everybody's fair game when it comes to that.
It is fair game, and that should be. I'm glad the caller brought it up. I mean, I'm always prepared to talk about it. But you know, the interesting thing about those folks that are really can't hear Bloomberg because of stop and frisk, a lot of those folks tend to be with Biden, right? But Biden was one of the sponsors and co-writers of the crime bill that locked up more African Americans anywhere, I mean, across this entire country, you know. But understanding that is that it was the time and space when that took place. You know, this was the 80s, you know, coming off of the 80s, and how the crime and homicide rates were spiking in urban communities across this country. Again, it was African Americans said, we got to do something about this. A lot of that was introduced through the crack epidemic, you know, and African Americans saying, hey, we got to do something about this. And that crime bill was a response to those homicides taking place across this country. So today, you know, we look at it and we can count the number of African Americans who were locked up, some for life, because that became the 3 strikes rule, right? Some for life. Well, then, you know, so the same folks that support, you know, President Biden and has given him a pass, Vice President Biden has given him a pass, can't even hear from Bloomberg. So when you stop and frisk, yeah, you don't like it, it's humiliating, you know, it angers you, but you go home to your family. You know, with that crime bill, you went to prison, and sometimes for life.
And I guess another blemish on Biden's record was also how he badgered Anita Hill during the Senate confirmation hearings for Clarence Thomas. Again, just saying that generally, and then I guess Mayor Pete Buttigieg, when they were having some issues, and I believe he actually got rid of the chief of police in South Bend, I guess it is.
Indiana.
Yeah. So all of that again becomes fair game. Now, one of the things you said, and I agree on it because I just listened to a lot of discussion with people, is that we did ask, and we tend to ask the government when we have problems in our community, particularly with crime, look, what are y'all going to do for us?
That's right.
But as you said and indicated, sometimes police can be a little bit more heavy-handed. You know, sometimes they feel like it's like carte blanche, we can do what we want.
That's right.
When actually they were supposed to follow a structured pattern of how we select individuals and, you know, screen them and then decide, you know, whether they are a threat to the community or not.
That's right.
And I don't know, we often hear the expression that and I don't know how to take it, but they say, you know, sometimes if you're not doing anything wrong, then you don't have anything. But again, the fact that it's embarrassing, maybe humiliating, and then you feel targeted, you know, because I felt that way as a youth too here in Detroit, especially. I
I've
grew
been
up
stopped and
in
frisked
that.
here.
Yeah.
We didn't have a policy, but it's happened to me here. Yeah, so I don't listen. I mean, to this day, you know, I'm a grown man and I'm not riding dirty, but if I see those blue lights in my rear view, it evokes something
absolutely
for me as a black man, you know. So I understand. Definitely.
I don't want to get too far away from our discussion about Bloomberg, but just because you went to HBCU, and just for anybody in the listening audience, what was your experience there? Because that's something many of us, you know, we tend to go towards what we are familiar with. Yeah. But what was the experience, the environment, and how did it help to build what it made you to become as a man?
So I appreciate that question. I mean, that was probably some of the best years of my life, actually, you know, because I left here in Detroit not knowing, you know, who I was and what I was about and what I was capable of doing, you know. And I think that working at going to an HBCU in those formative years, you know, really, you know, allowed me to be comfortable as I figured it out. You know, I met, you know, young African American, young gifted and talented folk from around the world, not just across the country, you know, and they were there for a purpose. They were there to get something done, you know, and, you know, many of them, like myself, was the first to go to college from their families, you know, and they took that seriously. But we also, because we are who we are, made sure we had a whole lot of fun in the meantime, too. So, you know, it was an amazing balance. And I think that, you know, the difference from going to, you know, the mainstream colleges and universities as African Americans is that, you know, a whole lot of your brain space is taken up by figuring out where you belong in it, you know. And I think that, you know, in at HBCU, that question is already taken away because you belong here, and that's what everybody tells you, and you feel it. And so by the time you have graduated from an HBCU, you kind of know a little bit better about who you are. And that's what my experience was.
Yeah, I couldn't afford to leave town, so I had to deal with one of the local universities. And I was sort of, I don't want to say straddling the fence, but what it was with me is because I was in a predominantly Eurocentric university, navigating my way through that was a little bit more, because I didn't see enough faces like me to feel comfortable. So that made, I would say, education a little bit more stressful, you know. And they had a program, matter of fact, I think it was called Project 100 when I got in it, but it was supposed to help inner city students be able to let's say become a little bit more familiar with the college setting. You know, it was geared towards helping us. I don't want to, you know, I always think about assimilation, you know, and how, for me, that's a negative in a certain way too. But it teaches you to lose your identity so that you can become more what they want you to be. But I won't elaborate. We have a caller who has an opinion too.
I love that though. You know, I mean, I really pride myself on being the same guy I am when I'm on TV as the same guy I am at home. Or the same guy I am in a boardroom. And I'm not sure I had that confidence to do that had it not been for my HBCU background and experience.
I might have to go for a master's or something. Okay. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
Good morning. This is Tawana Morris, and I'm viewing you on Rabbit Ears TV.
Happy Monday, Rabbit Ears TV.
Okay. I have a question concerning Mike Bloomberg. This question is, why is he running as a Democrat? And then two, Republicans has been proven by Donald Trump to be Trumpites, and they kind of trick you. So I'm concerned, and I'm still open to the presidency. I like what I'm hearing, but I'm curious as to why he changed. And thank you, everybody, for what you do. I'm going to hang up and listen.
So people evolve. just like politics evolves.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Bloomberg has been a Republican, but he's also been an independent. Now he's a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, when he, as a private citizen, no one person has done more on some of the core democratic issues that are solely democratic, like as Michael Trump. I mean, Donald Trump, Michael Bloomberg. All right, so for example, climate change. That's a core democratic issue. Bloomberg believes in climate change, has done more than anybody across the country to like shut down some of the coal burning plants. Half of the ones that existed in the city. Gun control. He's invested in policies that led to the most stringent gun control policies that we have today.
You fought that with President Obama, right?
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are democratic issues, and I think that's what led him to run as a Democrat. And obviously being a mayor of a city like New York, the most diverse city in America, the largest city in America, you tend to have a large tent, to fit everybody and their issues under that tent, and that sounds like a Democratic tent to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had, wasn't Elizabeth Warren a Republican? Now
She was a
Democrat.
Republican. That's absolutely
And
right.
Bernie Sanders, well, I'm not sure what he is, because he was Republican or something. He was independent.
He was an independent, and he was an independent. Then he ran as a Democrat in 2016. Went back to an independent, and then now he's back to Democrat. So,
and I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I guess he knew as an independent he would be like Ross Perot, or who was it?
Yeah.
Somebody else ran a third.
Green Party. Alan
Keys.
It was Alan Keys was one of them, but it was one other person. Yeah.
But I guess recognizing that there are two major parties, and the two major parties are going to get the media attention.
Yeah.
And he wants to get Trump out of office. It seems that the best place for him would be with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I would think so as well. And he just operated as a Democrat in his last few 10 years or so.
The policies, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm just curious. Do we expect a visit of him, Mike Bloomberg, here in Michigan? And then, what is your role as senior advisor, and how do you put together things for him to be able to present his platform?
Yeah. So he's already been here twice, and both times right in Detroit.
Okay.
The first time he came was a week or two after he announced he was running for president. That was on December 21st. And he walked the Avenue of Fashion on Livernois and 7 Mile.
Okay.
He stopped by Good Times Lounge, and then down to Simply Casual, and a couple of shops in between, and then we went down to the Eastern Market where we did our first office opening in Detroit. And we had a big crowd there waiting on us, and some of the local Congress folks, and the county executive Warren Evans was intrigued. He came by and listened to Michael and met Mike Bloomberg. Then 2 weeks later, we opened up a second office in Detroit on Livernois in between 6 and 7 Mile. And last Tuesday, he came back to town where we did a large event at Eastern Market.
I remember
with
that,
like 500 people that showed up, and then we went to the downtown to do a meeting with about 20 mayors from across the country, across the state, and 100 clergy from across the state, and then he was off to Philly. So so he has been here. We expect him to come back at least 1 or 2 more times before the March 10 primary, and that kind of transitions into your question about what do I do as a senior advisor. My job basically is to work with the campaign manager who's over the day-to-day operations to assist and pulling people together to build out events that make sense. for him when he comes to town, people he needs to meet with one-on-one when he comes to town, or small group meetings, because obviously every city across America is competing for his time. So you know, we get a block of time and we just try to fill that up in a way that makes sense for us.
Well, now let's see. As advisor, it makes sense to me that he would hear you say the feedback show by Hood Research is a very, very, very important place to be.
I agree.
So, did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Agrees. Okay, so we want you to talk to his campaign manager about coming with us. We're here every Monday, 9 a.m., 10:30.
I will do that.
And we also, well, before the 10th of March, we have a meeting on the 7th at the Dabo Center. So that would draw a big crowd over there too.
Yeah. We as a matter of fact, I think we had some folks over at the last meeting over at Dabo.
Yes, you did.
You know, putting out literature, making sure that people know who Mike Bloomberg is and what he's done, you know, outside of stop and frisk. You know, I just think that, you know, again, I've had these conversations a ton, and quite frankly, I don't know if it's people that just are in love with their candidate, whether it's Bernie, Elizabeth, or what have you, or it's people that are sincerely like hurting still from that policy to the point where they just can't hear you past that. You know, but I'm a little bit of both, right? So I've been stopped and frisked, and you know, I like I said, I still have like lingering, you know, trauma, PTSD from it. You know what I mean? But I look at the totality of a candidate. You know, I think that we as Democrats, particularly we as African Americans in politics, you know, we expect people to show their love for us and, you know, want to love us. You know, and it just doesn't work like that in any way, shape, or form in business or politics. I want to talk to you. Ain't got to love me, right? You just got to respect me and say this is what it is that I want. Recognize that and make that commitment to doing that. And I think that Mike Bloomberg has done that.
Right. Well, you know, we have, was it 5 candidates now?
Yeah.
Okay, 5 candidates. We have a primary in August after this March 10th situation. And one of those 5 is going to compete against Donald Trump.
Yep.
So what we need to work on is who has the best chance of unseating the man who has no respect for himself and family, his country, and just does whatever he wants to do. No respect for the laws. I mean, I just never seen.
He's self-absorbed.
Yes. We have a question.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
Good morning. This is Police Commissioner William Davis.
Well, happy Monday, Police Commissioner Bill Davis. How are you?
I am great. I have a question for the young man. You know, I'm also president of the Detroit Chapter National Action Network. I was wondering, you know, before we start supporting any candidate, and you know, especially what I particularly don't like, I'm a reluctant Democrat, is the fact that we have a lot of people who come in from out of town. They bring in most of their own people. Most of the people are much lighter than us. And they don't spend no money in the black community, especially as it relates to black media, black shows like this excellent show that I'm watching here. But, you know, we need to make sure that we get a slice of the pie, that there's some money going to the black community, that all this money that comes into our community is not just going back to New York or California.
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. That, and I agree with the caller, by the way, 100%. Let me say that first. But it's interesting how the dialogue changes in general right now. So if we do that, you know, we buying people off. Right. Somebody else does that, you know, they're just doing what's supposed to be done.
Investing in the community.
Investing in the community. So we just made history with the largest advertising spend with an national African American newspaper network, the NNHA, and that was just announced last week.
What's NNHA?
That's the national
NNPA.
NNPA, I'm sorry, Newspapers
What's the
Association.
NNPA? What?
It's the
National Newspaper.
Newspaper Association, but it's African American based across the country. It's
okay.
Across So
Okay.
basically, they have a relationship with over 500 newspapers across this country, and they use that arm to place ads in cities across America and African American newspapers. So here, the Michigan Chronicle is part of that.
And that's interesting since it's Republican, but go ahead.
The E-Course paper is a part of that, and Grand Rapids Times. It was based on circulation. I'm assuming. I don't know how it works exactly, but the $3.5 million spend there. Here in Michigan, across the state, not just in Detroit, 70% of those that are running this campaign are African Americans. So when you want to talk about investment with African Americans, they are leading this campaign by and large. The leadership team is 50-50. I mean, I'm a senior advisor, and then there's one other senior advisor. Our field director is African American. Our digital director is an African American woman. A common director is a woman, and our data director, he's a non-white. So we have a very diverse leadership team. Ian Conyers also is our political director, African American man. So we have a very diverse team on the leadership, and then across the state, African Americans are really benefiting from this campaign. And we spend with African American media, and I don't think that this would be one that would be missed either.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I want to hear.
All right, beautiful. Glad I could be of service.
Any other question?
Oh, no, other than the fact that I still would like to see a greater black presence. And do you have any Hispanics on the campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. No, right across the state of Michigan, across this region and across the state. We recognize that there's a large Hispanic population in the state of Michigan, and we have very good, strong field organizers that are out in the Hispanic community who actually speak the language. We invest in bilingual literature to make sure that that everybody is understanding what the platforms are. Same thing with Arab and Chaldean as well. So I mean, beautiful thing about being a senior advisor, along with our other senior advisor, who's Jill Alper, who's done many presidential campaigns, far more than I have, is that having done these many campaigns over the years, statewide, governor, U.S. Senate, congressional mayors, we know who the best of the best are on the street, and we reach out to them and we pick them up despite what color they are. We want the best people because we are here to win, and that's what we're doing. We're building an amazing team. I think that the conversation is going to be very interesting come the week after Super Tuesday. We've invested in the states that matter.
Right, Electoral College.
Exactly, with delegates that are rich in delegates. Iowa, New Hampshire, they don't have delegates, but we chase those cities, those states, out the gate, and they don't have a ton of delegates. While where's Trump? He's in Michigan, he's in Wisconsin, he's in Philadelphia, he's in Ohio. He's solidifying the battleground states, while we're in places where it's not very diverse. You could fit Iowa and New Hampshire into New York City. so that kind of gives you some perspective. So we're kind of really taking a different approach to this altogether. We talk about how late we got into the race. Well, we were early to the Super Tuesday states, right? And that's where all the delegates are. And in Michigan, we have 65 people across this state working on the Bloomberg campaign, and we hope to ramp up to about 82 or so in the next week. And that same kind of organization exists in all of the Super Tuesday states. So there'll be a totally different narrative, in about 15 days or so.
Okay. Now, the question that I have has to do with southwest Detroit, where the largest number of Hispanics and Mexicans live. Yesterday morning was reported that the president has what do you call those folks?
ICE agents.
Thank you, ICE agents. Yeah, just flooding the area, terrifying the people who live there. And does Michael Bloomberg have anyone who would report that back to him and ask him what his plan is? Matter of fact, if I was there, it would come up on Wednesday. Not that I'm Hispanic. However, if Donald Trump is doing that to Southwest Detroit, where the Hispanics and Mexicans live, just think of what he has planned for our community.
Yeah, so that's a really sad situation out there, because I mean, when that happens, you have folks who are no longer going to church anymore.
Right.
No longer walking, their neighborhoods anymore. Not even sending their children to school.
Right.
Anymore.
Yes.
And nobody should live under that level of terror. And I just think that's a really sad look for America.
But what else makes it horrible is we're in the preliminary stages of the census. Okay, 2020, the census. And now you have these ICE agents flooding an area that needs to have its people counted.
That's right. There's nothing you're going to be able to say to a population like that to make them sign any federal, documents that identifies who they are. The stakes are way too high.
Yep, they're being terrified.
Yeah, so it's really it's positioning us for failure when it comes to a full and total count of the census, because you're not going to count those folks because they're not going to want to be counted.
And for the city of Detroit, it's going to bring down the percentage of response at the end.
Did you have any other follow-up questions, Bill?
Oh no, I was about to bring up what the $1 Million Baby Bill just brought up the fact that what the ICE is doing is helping to do voter intimidation and also suppress, the number of people, as many people as not going to be willing to do the census, which I think is a win-win for our Republican colleagues.
And they may even be afraid to vote. And we need their votes if you're talking about unseating the current one.
Well, I'm sure they would love to vote for that, if nothing else, just to know that they feel more secure in that. I want to ask you, Brother Dickens, contact information, people who may want to get involved in the Bloomberg campaign. How can they contact you, or who would they contact to say, I want to get on board?
Yeah, so in terms of paid positions, we pretty much locked up throughout the state of Michigan in terms of our positioning, particularly in the Detroit Highland Park area. There may be a couple of opportunities in Grand Rapids, maybe one in Kalamazoo. We have 2 offices, and I don't know the phone numbers to either one of them. But one, I'll give you the addresses, however. And the campaign office, the Bloomberg campaign office in Eastern Market is 1353 Fisher Freeway. It's right on the Service Drive next to Sapino's Pizza. And then the second one is on Livernois, between 6 and 7 Mile, maybe a couple of doors down from the locker room, and that address is 18310 Livernois. So I encourage anybody who wants to get involved, anybody who wants a little bit more information about the candidate, to stop by and talk to some of our folks in our campaign offices and learn more about Mike Bloomberg. And we look forward to seeing you.
Is he?
No, Bill's still there. I'm
writing something else that Bill, I think, might be interested in. And I'm very proud of this. Is that Michael Bloomberg became the first and only presidential candidate to ever lay out an urban agenda as president. I mean, not even our beloved Barack Obama did that. And he did that. maybe a month and a half ago on Black Wall Street. You know, we all know the history of Black Wall Street, where he stood firm and boldly and said, you know, I recognize that if I was a black man, I wouldn't be the Michael Bloomberg that you guys know today, you know, and that we have to do something to level the playing field. And, you know, and so he proceeded to talk about a $70 billion of investment in disadvantaged communities, not to go downtowns, to go into neighborhoods. You know, he talked about increasing African-American home ownership by 1 million people, because he recognizes that, you know, that is a pathway to wealth for a lot of African Americans. He also wants to double the black-owned businesses across this country, and we talked about, you know, how he's done that in the city of New York. And then also significant funding to HBCUs, which, you know, I'm very proud of, obviously, coming from one myself. So I wanted to lay that out, because not a lot of people know that, and that's never happened in my lifetime. I don't know if you ever remember anyone in presidential
having an
candidate
urban
having an urban agenda.
No. Who is it, caller? Hello.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Would you share your name and how you're viewing us, please?
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Speedy. This is R.J. Watkins. Here with you.
Well, thank you for calling.
This is R.J. Watkins. I'm viewing you. I'm watching cable, and I'm watching Roku. Just wondering, the gentleman's talking. I haven't heard. I've just tuned back in. I was on a conference call. But are they going to do any television promotion? I heard about the newspaper.
Television promotion.
And you know, I'm very interested in television and radio. What we're doing at WHPR.
Yeah.
Are they going to do any television campaign?
Yeah. So, like I was just telling Theo here, is that you know, I will make sure that happens. I do think that's important. You know, obviously, a lot of times in these races, you try to go to the broadcast and cable that pops the biggest numbers, and I recognize here on the ground, which is why they hire senior advisors, like, you know, to give you more of a flavor of what's happening on the ground. I recognize the uniqueness of shows like these. So I think that you can look forward to seeing some level of investment here.
Right.
You know, and you know, when you talk about doing these kind of media buys, you know, out of New York or DC in other cases, you know, if they don't know the city and they're buying nationwide, it's hard for them to know everything that's out there. So it's up to folks like me to make sure that they do.
Right. We're going to have his email. RJ, is he still there?
Yeah, he's still here.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Right. And so the information can be emailed to him. Okay?
Yeah, my number hadn't changed. It's the same number we had years ago.
Okay, this is the same gentleman that works with the mayor's office, correct?
Yep, that's me.
Okay, good. Yeah, we know. Yeah. Theo, make sure you leave your number at the front desk again, and let's talk.
All right,
and we definitely want to be a part in campaigning and see what we could do.
All right, look forward to it.
With the WHPR TV and radio.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Not our last 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, boy. You know, time really goes when you're involved and enjoying the conversation. And I'm glad that you had an opportunity to come and share a lot of these details with those who are tuned in. Because unfortunately, there are so many people who listen to just sad conversation with nothing to back it up. They hear, well, I think or I feel such and such and such, instead of saying, listen, this policy is over here, you can read it for yourself.
Yeah.
That information is there, those facts are there.
Yeah.
And they do better with that. And then stop this dumb stuff about the money. He's trying to buy a seat, and if you don't, it's crazy. We have to choose from those Democratic presidential candidates that are there. We can't put our own on the ballot.
That's right.
We have to choose from what we have.
That's
so the best thing to do is to learn to think, to analyze the facts as opposed to emotion.
That's right.
And I'll just add this quickly, and I'll let you continue, brother. There's a statement I heard, and I like it. It says, be informed, not just opinionated.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You know, and my thing would be like, you know, all of this politics is transactional. You know, what is it that you're going to do for me? And if I shake your hand and you tell me what you're going to do for me, you don't got to love me. I'm not going to profess to love you, you know, but I'm going to respect you.
Yeah, follow through.
And I'm going to respect you for that, you know. And I think that that's where Democrats are. You know, we always got to fall in love.
Right.
You know, Republicans fall in line.
Yeah.
And that's why they win.
Good point.
And that's why they win.
Well, at the end, and we need you to check your calendar, and I'll be in touch so that we can have, you know, additional conversations and share information as it gets closer to the election dates. Okay?
Absolutely. I appreciate everything. Thank you for letting me be here today.
You're welcome. You all have been tuned in to Feedback with our guest today, Jermaine Dickens, Senior Advisor to Presidential Candidate Michael Bloomberg. We are going to take a break, and we will be back with our next guest. So stay tuned. We'll be back momentarily.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am the BD Impinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback.
This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman. I am here to address all of your complaints and concerns. If you need assistance regarding city services, please contact my office at 313-224-6000 or contact us via email at ombudsman@detroitmi.gov. This is Bruce Simpson, your City of Detroit Ombudsman.
I'm joined today by Maureen Taylor and Louis Pisker to let you know about a new financial empowerment center located in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office.
Do you know someone, family or friends that need help with finances? Do you know people having trouble making ends meet, especially with property taxes or other payments? The Detroit Financial Empowerment Center can help. Treasurer Sabri invites you to visit the new Financial Empowerment Center, 400 Monroe, on the 5th floor in downtown Detroit.
We've partnered with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office and the City of Detroit to provide free one-on-one financial counseling to help you address problems related to utility bills, property or income taxes, credit repair, and other financial matters. Our professional counselors can also help you plan your monthly budget and increase your credit score.
This service is available to all Wayne County residents. For free and private financial counseling, contact the center at 313-322-6222 and make an appointment today.
WHPR TV is now on Channel 90. Check out all of your favorite morning talk shows on Comcast Channel 90 every day from 7 a.m. to 12 noon, and watch us anytime, day or night, on all of your favorite devices. Download the WHPR TV Now app and take us with you wherever you go. WHPR TV is now on Comcast Channel 90 every day from 7 a.m. till noon. WHPR TV, a Watkins Broadcasting Company.
To be able to meet people from different countries enriches our lives.
Wayne County gave me so much, my degree, who I am.
The college supports you to grow. They have the different campuses. I'm like, I can try this. Maklit Shunga, Ethiopia. Sandra González, Mexico.
Arminalda Carrick, Bosnia.
Javed Khan, Bangladesh. Go to Wayne County, they will find your path and you will know what to do next.
Now you can watch WHPR TV 33 on Fire Stick. Catch all of your favorites. Stay informed. Don't miss a minute of your favorite talk shows. Call, text, tweet, post. WHPR TV 33 is worldwide on Fire Stick. For more information, go to FirestickTVNetwork.com or call us at 313-868-6612. WHPR TV 33, a Watkins Broadcasting Company.
Hi, this is Lawanda.
This is R.J. Watkins.
Coming to you to bring you some information about the #1 detox in the nation, Lemon Burn. Lemon Burn helps to turn the fat into fit. It's for you, a happier, healthier you. Because you know healthy is the new beautiful. An all-natural way to improve your health. It promotes a healthy digestive system, attacks and reduces belly fat, as well as gives you energy. Need to get yours today. Call 313-868-6612.
Don't forget to exercise and eat right.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
And we are back. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Feedback, a positive image production by Huda Research. We have as our next guest, Attorney Ava Muhammad. Are you with us, Attorney Muhammad?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, I am here.
Okay, you can hear us
Thank
okay?
you.
You're
I
welcome.
Sure can. I'm very grateful to be allowed a few moments to come on your program. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And we appreciate for you being here with us. Would you first tell us, you are Attorney Ava Muhammad, and you are the spokesperson for Minister Farrakhan. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I am actually I'm his official national spokesperson.
Official national spokesperson. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, would you just tell us who is Ava Muhammad?
Well, I am from Columbus, Ohio, originally. And I grew up there and ultimately went to a HBCU, grew up in a nice black community, middle-class black community, went to an HBCU, Central State University.
Central University?
Central State.
Central State, yes.
In Wilberforce, Ohio.
Right across the street.
From Wilberforce, that's right. Yeah, in fact, you barely had to cross anything.
You're right.
Campuses, remember, they all but blended together.
That's right. Dr. Robert Moore was there. Were you there then?
I think that, I don't know if that was before or after me, but the name is familiar.
May have been after you. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Continue.
Okay, and then and I bring that up because it provided me with a strong foundation of consciousness of our people, and our home was always filled with. We had the big tapes of Dr. King and read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I always wanted that type of environment to live in. So ultimately I went to Georgetown University Law School, graduated from there in D.C., got admitted to the New York Bar.
Wow.
I was in law enforcement for a few years in the district attorney's office in Queens, New York. And then I was diagnosed with cancer and was on chemotherapy in my late 20s.
Oh, wow.
And went out and heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and that changed my life forever. Yes.
Oh, that's
and I moved to Chicago to help the nation. And he appointed me in 1998 as the Southern Regional representative, and so I was the first woman to be put over a mosque and all of the affiliate mosques in the South.
Right.
And subsequently, in the early 2000s, he made me his national spokesperson.
That is wonderful. Tell me this. Did you enter law school prior to being diagnosed or after?
This was prior. I was actually in New York City in the DA's office when I got the diagnosis of the cancer. And it was in New York where I heard Minister Farrakhan.
Ah, I see. Okay. Now, today we want to hear about what's about to happen here in the city of Detroit.
Absolutely. Yes, and of course, we're so happy to be returning to the great city of Detroit, Michigan, where the Nation of Islam actually began.
Yes.
And of course, it's known as the crowning event of Black History Month, and this is our annual commemoration of the birth of Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi, who came to North America in 1930 and declared that our 400 years of bondage here had ended. And Savior's Day over the years has expanded. This year is the biggest one ever. In addition to our workshops, our social and educational activities for our children and families, and all of the city of Detroit. You know, Detroit, we know percentage-wise, is the blackest city in the United States. And so it's important that we sit down and come together with some degree of decisiveness and begin to gain control of our own destiny. I was just sent a text the other day that there's a class action suit against the city and Wayne County over these excessive property taxes that are leveled against black homeowners. And, you know, this is not new. These vicious sort of things just come in cycles. And we have to break that cycle. And so one of our major events this year will be, of course, we'll be at the TCF Convention Center. But one of our major events will be Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. at the legendary Shrine of the Black Madonna Church on Linwood, 7625 Linwood. And we're inviting the community out for a town hall meeting. This is not a lecture. I'll be hosting it, and I'll be joined by an array of panelists such as Detroit's own Joanne Watson. Dr. Joanne Watson will be featured. We have a young sister who's a professor of African American Studies at Virginia State, who's done extensive research on the black experience and specifically provides insight into the application of the Muslim program that's on the back of the Final Call newspaper by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Dr. Aaron Smith out of Temple University in Philly will be on that panel. He's an expert on gentrification. And we need to talk about black gentrification, you know, where instead of us abandoning our communities when we become successful, we need to turn around and build up our communities. And then Brother Patrick Alexander, who's a community activist out of Coldwater, Mississippi. This is a township I visited this year in the Mississippi Delta. And Sister Theo, it is such a beautiful representative of what it can be like when black people are actually running our own affairs. And so we're going to have a dialogue there. We want everybody to come out. It's free admission. And it's to discuss seriously the process of going for self. The title of the town hall is "The Black Man and Woman Must Consider Separation." And this would be the 20th town hall meeting across the country that the Nation of Islam has been hosting since mid 2018.
I have two questions.
I was going to ask you, sister, my name is Thabiti. I was going to ask you to repeat that information. I do have Saturday, 2 p.m. at Shrine of Black Madonna, but I wanted to be sure of the date.
Oh, yes, sir. That's Saturday, February 22nd, this coming Saturday. And, yes, it will be at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, 7625 Linwood Street. And the mission is free. And we start promptly at 2 because we're respectful of people's time. So it's from 2 to 4 p.m.
Okay, great.
Now, I want to also make sure that the city of Detroit, which we love and has always been so beautiful, all the Savior's Days we've hosted there, particularly in the last decade, Minister Farrakhan will deliver the keynote message of the convention, and that will be Sunday, February 23rd at TCF Center. The message is entitled The Unraveling of a Great Nation, and the doors open at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Now, the question I was about to ask is the location for the beginning is on Linwood. Is that right?
Yes.
Central High School. Pardon?
7625 Linwood Street.
Now, 7625. Wait a minute. That's where the town hall meeting is, right?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Now, the question that I'm asking was, you had mentioned early on that the Muslim was the mosque was established on Linwood, right? Farther north on Linwood. You said it was started in Detroit.
Yes. The Nation of Islam actually began in Black Bottom in Detroit, Michigan in 1931.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Oh, okay.
Yes.
1931. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a historic site to recognize that? A historic site?
There is. I'm glad you raised that because I don't have the exact locations, but I do know our National Historical Exhibit will be at the TCF Center. It will be there all weekend.
Oh, that's
from
great.
Friday through all day Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
At TCF, and in this exhibit, we will trace and show a timeline and locations where Islam was taught by Master Fard Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the city of Detroit.
Okay. If they don't have a historic marker, then please encourage them to establish one.
Yes, you're speaking on something so critical.
Right.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about separating, is there a desire to have, I think I heard some decades ago, 5 states somewhere, or what is the recommendation for separating?
Yes, in 2017, Minister Farrakhan delivered a press conference at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C., and he directed his message both to black people and to the United States government and the people of America. And he said directly to Donald Trump that we would take 8 states. Now, obviously, this is a process that has to begin somewhere. And we have always looked very carefully at the deep south, the southern border of the United States, especially states like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and others, where our people not only picked the cotton that made the United States transition from a third-rate farming country to a global economic leader because of the millions and millions of pounds of cotton that were sent to New York and then on to Great Britain for the textile industry, which actually changed the whole quality of life of this entire planet. The production of clothing in the early 19th century. And that was, this cotton was hand-picked. They had not invented the machinery, and that would not happen until the 1920s. But our people were not only sold and used for labor, but black women, particularly in Maryland and Virginia, were forced to breed, give birth to as many babies as their bodies were able to carry. And those babies were specifically reared and then auctioned off to slave traders and carried down into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then later expanded on westward to places like Texas. And so the demand for reparations, and we believe reparations is land. We don't want checks in the mail. We don't want welfare programs. This country has paid reparations to nations that it went to war with. All we've ever done is fight for America, sustain America. And to this day, we are the foundation of its entire economy and its culture.
Yes, it is really strange that there are people who are so afraid of us that they are willing to give reparations to every other ethnic group except ours.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, it was reported some time back. We hear how intelligent the Asians are, but it was reported some time back that the Africans are more intelligent. And you often have the media here spending so much time and effort to undermine the quality of black people so that others would look down on us.
That's exactly right. And you know, it's amazing in recent years, the exposure of truth, a lot of it through films. I never knew, and I was a history major, I never knew that it was black women who were primarily responsible for America being able to send someone to the moon.
Oh, yes.
All of these things that are being revealed
now,
how we were really at the root of the greatest innovations, the technology, the inventions that made this country the military and economic power that it is today. And as you said, we can find a way, they can find a way to compensate and in many cases just subsidize for no legitimate reason other nations while we languish here in poverty.
Right.
And we just have to bring this to an end. My husband and I have 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren, and I'm really not willing for my grandson and granddaughter to grow up learning how to deal with being pulled over by the police and, you know, praying that he doesn't get shot to death by some cop because he's in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
This is not a safe place for black people.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I want to say real
safe haven. Yes, sir.
Real quick, sister, because I've studied history and I'm just a student for life. But one of the things I remember hearing that always stuck with me is that never in the history of the world has an enslaved people live with the people who enslaved them at any point in time, and we're in that same situation. And I guess when people will speak of reparations and the fact that we haven't got them, it becomes something where if they do, that means they have to admit to their wrongs, which is something that they seem never to be able to do. But just the idea that never in the history of the world have an enslaved people coexisted with their enslavers. So we're in that situation. It's a very unique situation now where we expect, or we would like, that to happen. But as I was speaking with the brother earlier, who was on our program, it seems like this whole idea of assimilation, where you have to sacrifice your culture and cultural identity in order to be a part of the greater whole, which is not really represented. It doesn't represent this nation, nor do the values of that greater civilization or greater culture embrace other cultures, but they try to deny them. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I was wondering, with the plan, is there a concrete written plan in terms of, I guess, the specifics on whether what we want and who we approach in terms of having a separate a separate land of our own?
Yes, it's a very powerful observation you just made, but I'll take the last question first. The town hall meetings are actually designed to determine and ascertain from among the brilliant array of minds that we have in our communities who is seriously interested and committed to developing that plan and that process. See, this is not, even though the Nation of Islam is taking the point, this is not religious in its nature. This is a movement of a people that you just so eloquently laid out are former slaves. We're the descendants of slaves in a country that we're not from, and we are the only people in history that has remained among those people and never really been offered any opportunity to state whether we wish to remain with our ancestors' kidnappers. And so we have to devise a plan that would be unique and different from anything in history. But it's based on our common ancestry, our common history, and a common experience. So we're pulling together the minds and seeking the resources from those of our people who have been able to develop very powerful financial asset bases, okay, in this country. And the Mormons offer something a little bit similar, but it's very different for us because we are black people. But when the Mormons were persecuted back in the early 1800s in Northeast United States, they kept moving and moving, and they finally settled in Utah. And they overpopulated it. You know, they made a plan that they would move there consciously and deliberately, that they would pour into that state. And now we know they control the governor's seat, they control the 2 Senate seats. It's through your population being concentrated in a certain area, but bigger than that, it's having that knowledge and conscious, deliberate will to plan. Right now, we just react to what white people do. So we're in cities, and they decide, well, we vacated the cities, and now we want them back. And so we begin to devise the plan to move black people out. We do it with taxes. We do it with crime. We pour drugs into the community. We kill black youth outright. We break up the black families, so we're killing each other. Mm-hmm. All of these things are part of a plan, and we have to push back against that. And I would say lastly on that point that the United States is not a nation in the true sense. It is a political union of 50 individual states. Each of these states has its own flag, its own state constitution, its own set of laws governing their education system and accreditation. They levy taxes on their citizens and decide how they want to spend it. The federal government actually functions because of the taxes it receives from these states. And then in turn, in some cases, it provides subsidy.
Right.
You know, Mitch McConnell, who is so opposed to reparations, is from one of the most parasitical states in the country, which is Kentucky. He sits over the poorest state and draws more money from the federal government than any other state, but he can't understand black people seeking reparations. And so there's two ways it could be approached. It can be allocated to us, or we can stand up among ourselves and decide we're going to determine where we want to live, and we're going to move there.
Right. Well, I think that it's a good point that you're going to have the town hall meeting on this on the 22nd, because it gets people in the community an opportunity to understand what is proposed and why it's proposed and how it can be carried out. I know there are going to be some people concerned that if you get corralled into 8 states or what have you, that there may be some sabotage. But to have the town hall meeting to explain all that to the community is a good thing. We unfortunately are at the at 10:30, almost at 10:30 spot.
I appreciate all this time you gave me.
I'm glad you were able to be here with us, and hoping that we'll be able to have you again. But can you tell us, is there a website or email or number if anyone wants any additional information?
I'm so glad, Jess. You asked all the right questions. Yes, it's NOI.org. NOI.org, and everything about this weekend's activities is on the website.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yes,
okay, NOI.org. Okay. That sounds
Thank
good.
you both so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Have a blessed day.
Attorney Ava Muhammad, thank you for being here with us. And for those of you who have, tuned in, we want you to know it's not necessary for you to know everything. What is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. And we at Hood Research seek out as much information as we can, as well as guests to come and to share with you. That's to help us all make better informed decisions. And remember that on the second Saturday of each month, Hood Research meets at the Dabo Center from 2 p.m. until 6. The telephone number for Hood Research is area code 248-234-2371. Again, that's area code 248-234-2371. We want you to follow us on Twitter. Go to our website, which is hoodresearch.org. And we have our watch party. I think it's all set up now. We've been working on that for a while. And the BD?
Yes, 2 things. First, I want to remind everyone this Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, there will be a town hall which is sponsored by the Nation of Islam. Shrine of Black Madonna is located at 7625 Linwood. And as I always say at the end of the show, if you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you're finished.
And we want you to tune in again next week, 9 a.m., right here at WHBR.
Peace.